Howdy folks, TJ here. Thought I would do a quick video on the actual inside of my AmigaOne X5000. In one of the Amiga forums, somebody had asked, hey, maybe you could show the inside of it. And I thought I'd just do a quick video and kind of point out what's inside mine. When I had purchased it, it came with either a couple of different cases. So through Amiga on the Lake, who I purchased it from back in New Jersey, you could get it with a couple of different fractal design cases. And I preferred the R4 type of case because I previously, before this, owned the AmigaOne X1000. And that came in only one case, and at that time it was the R3 case. And the R4 case looks very similar to it, and I liked the look of it, so I went ahead and purchased that. And they had a nice boing ball bezel that I got separately afterwards because they were out of stock. I never used that case. I ended up just using, well, when the computer arrived, I used that case for a little bit, but then I quickly said, well, do I want to put it in something else? So this Thermaltake View 71 really caught my eye. It's an all glass case, and I thought, wow, that looks really cool. I had never really built my own PC before. I kind of removed some boards and things like that, but never from the ground up purchased a motherboard, a case, power supply, and all that. So I thought for the first time I would do it on my AmigaOne 5000. And I really dug the case. I think it's about a year or two old design now. And I just think it looks really, it's the bee's knees, as they say. It looks really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera around and kind of point it inside and show you how basically the case works. And I built this from kind of the ground up. So I took my motherboard out of the old case, and I got a nice power supply and all that stuff. So, okay, so this is the case, and what's kind of cool about it is it has two on each side, and I'll take the camera around later on the other side, but it's got these two thumb screws, and the whole case kind of pivots. I've kind of pushed my monitor around. I've got a big 43-inch display, trying to open it up just enough to where I can kind of get in there. But you remove these two thumb screws, and then the whole case kind of opens up. Let's move stuff around, see if I can get it open just enough to where you can kind of see inside. Let me check the camera here. Moving a little closer. That should work. So this is the X5000 motherboard, and it's got the nice Silent 6 fan on it. So it's fairly quiet. This is a bit of an open air case. There's plenty of gaps around, so you can still hear it a little bit, but it's not obnoxious. What I opted to go with, the Amiga on the Lake had two video card options. The I think it was R9 series AMD board, or the 7750. I ended up going with the 7750, which I think was probably the better choice because eventually MorphOS, I hear they might be finally making a video driver so you can actually, and that works with the 7750. So Radeon 7750 is the video card here, and runs great on Amiga OS 4. You get 3D through it, which is great. And if MorphOS eventually has a driver, I might be able to put MorphOS on this machine so I can make it a double boot machine, boot into Amiga OS and also MorphOS. And of course, you can also put a Linux install on here too. So that's the video card, a Radeon HD 7750. The memory inside is a couple of HyperX RAM cards there, or modules. And I have down here, this is actually a couple of cards down here. So down at the bottom, I still have an Ethernet card in here and a sound card. The sound card's here on the bottom. And man, it took me 3 or 4 different sound cards to finally get it right. So one of the bad parts about the Amiga X5000, it's a bit picky on the video cards. I don't know if it's a OS issue or hardware issue, but I'm guessing maybe an OS type of issue for driver. But I do have a good video card in there that works right. And I still have the old Ethernet NIC card that's in there. The motherboard does have a built-in Ethernet, and I'm now going off of that after they finally got the drivers made for it that work good. Down bottom here, I've got a nice Thermaltake Smart Pro RGB 750 watt, so plenty for Amiga. And it's actually an RGB, so you get a color variation from the top. You can use a little clicker that I'll show on the other side that lets you select just a particular color or just have it alternate. I have it alternating, so it kind of gives a rainbow effect. And it's a modular power supply, so all of these cables can be easily unplugged or plugged in. It's not built into the power supply, which I thought was a better route to go. The motherboard just has two slots for SATA, and I've basically got 2 hard drives in here right now. So if I ever wanted to add more, I would need to plug a PCI card in and to be able to add more hard drives. But for now, I've got 2. This is a cage assembly that can take up to 4. This top slot here, I've got a 1 terabyte hard drive, and if I ever want to put in more and add another SATA card, I can easily put them in here. These just pull out, and you can easily insert a new hard drive. Case is pretty spacious. It's got a nice big fan in the back. Again, this is an all RGB case, so this lights up, and then when I alternate over here to the front, there's 2 big fans in the front that also alternate between colors. So that's this side. I can't think of anything else to really point out. If I wanted to go fan crazy, which you don't need to with an Amiga, this is obviously built for a PC that you can do water cooling and all that. There's vents up top here that you can put additional fans, but that would be really overkill for an Amiga. So anyway, that's this. Hopefully in the future, I'll get a new card, a new video card, when they have all the software and drivers and everything working off of the newer Polaris series video cards. I may get that and replace out the 7750. But for now, this works perfectly fine. And so that's the working side here. Again, Amiga X5000 motherboard. Very limited cabling. I tried to keep it as clean as I could in here. And I think it shows it off pretty well. So that's that. Let's grab the camera here. And so the front, and you can kind of see the dust in there. Look at all that dust. I got to clean those fans. So it's all glass. These thumb screws up top can be removed, and I can remove that glass and then pull off that front panel and clean the filter and all that. So that's the front. No hard drive or CD slots or anything like that on this case, so none of that's in the front. And let's walk the camera around and show this other side. Moving stuff around here. As you can see, I had some Volkswagen stuff up front on top of my case. Hello! Trying to move stuff around and shimmy around to where I can kind of get in there. That work? So again, a couple thumb screws. Take those off. And this whole bad boy can actually lift off and if you need to, but I just kind of push it out of the way. And let's move in a little closer here. So cabling I could probably clean up a little bit, but it works for me. I've got a small little SD card hard drive over here. I can connect more here and here. This case has plenty of places where I can plug in additional hard drives or little SSD type of cards. And then the cabling. This little box right here says Thermaltake on it. That lets me manually push and change the colors of the fans. And like I said, right now I just have it on the rainbow approach. But I can hard set it to where it's just one particular color. So that's this side. So if I need to get into anything over here, the door easily opens up. And I can just change out hard drives and play around with cabling or whatever I want to do. So that's that. Let me close this, and then I'll quickly show the back. And then I'll boot up the computer and show it in its colorful format there. And this will be kind of difficult to show the back here because I don't think this is going to work here. I'll just kind of pan down. But here's the back of the case. You'll see that it's got all the normal AmigaOne 5000 slots, and there's all my Mesa cables that come out the back. So that's that. So let's work back around my dirty office, tripping over everything. Let's actually boot up the computer, which you've seen before. But then I'll point it at the case so you can kind of see the colors here. And not that dust. Look at that dust in the two fans. I've got a really dusty house. So I've got to turn on my big TV, which is a 4K TV. And I'm going to turn her on. So you'll see that the colors of the fans are all coming on. I like the alternating effect. And so, like I said, the fan down bottom and fan in the back, and then the ones in the front all go through color cycles, which is kind of cool. And then, pointing down, I've got an RGB keyboard. So that actually alternates through colors too, so you'll see that it's fluctuating and going through the colors right now. Might be a little harder to see because of the light. Let me turn off that a little bit. Yeah, colors show up a little bit better. And I've got my Amiga Boing Ball mouse pad there. Looks slick inside. A little bit of light action. Fans turning. And then, of course, eventually it boots up to your regular Amiga. And I've got that. It's a little in the, with the glasses in the way, but I'll just leave it there. Maybe I can reach around. If it doesn't open up by itself. AmigaOne X5000. Very cool. A-Eon. I love that blue right there. That's slick looking. I think I'm going to play around with the settings on this boot screen so it's not as long. One of my friends said, gee, that computer took 1.5 minutes to boot up. I think you could shave a lot of time off from this one screen alone. I'll do that down the road, but I'm pretty patient, guys, so if it takes 1.5 minutes, no big deal. AmigaOS 4.1 pre-release, and it said that same thing for the last 2.5 years I've owned this. They need to come out with an update. One day. There's the nice startup chime, and you boot up to your regular desktop. And I use a program called Candy, which is from Amiga Kit. And has a nice animated backdrop, so you'll see there's different ones that you can select, but this is the space theme, so you'll see little stars shooting and little spaceships come out and zap across the screen, but it makes for a pleasant user experience in my point of view. And so anyway, that's my AmigaOne X5000, a little bit more internals and showing it off a little bit. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and look at the spaceship at the bottom. Zoom! There it went. See you later, guys and gals. See ya.